Less than 24 months ago, Ed Orgeron was atop the college football world. Now he's headed to the unemployment line, as it was announced yesterday that LSU and Orgeron have mutually agreed to part ways effective at the end of the season. Please don't get this twisted, though, folks. This may sound like a nice mutual parting of the ways. It's not. This is basically a relationship ending where one person's telling the other person, it's not you, it's me. Orgeron is being fired, and he's allowed to conclude the season with the team and walk away on his own with his head held high as a token of appreciation from the LSU brass for that magical 2019 season. Okay? And for those of you wondering why, if they respect Orgeron so much and they have such a high opinion of him, why are they firing him? Same reason they fired Les Miles. Mediocrity does not fly in Baton Rouge. And ever since winning that national championship game against Clemson, they've been 9-8. That doesn't work. That doesn't fly in Baton Rouge. And between that and the Title IX lawsuit that Orgeron has been tangled up in, it really was time for a change. So, those of you that are saying that this is Texas firing Mac Brown or making other outlandish comparisons, Jimmy Johnson in Dallas back in the 90s, stop the bullshit, okay? This is Auburn firing Gene Chizik. That's exactly what that is. And in fact, if you look at Gene Chizik in 2010 and you look at Ed Orgeron in 2019, there are so many similarities, it's not even funny. I mean, it's almost identical, including to the team names, the conference, etc. But let's look at that 2010 Auburn team, shall we? You had a quarterback in Cam Newton who transferred from Florida, an Urban Meyer coach team, who had a historically good season, led his team to a 14-0 record and a national championship win. He then declared for the draft and was picked number 1 overall. On the coaching staff, he had a bright mind offensively who really called a lot of hot shot plays that wound up becoming a head coach, and his offensive mastery masked a lot of the deficiencies that Gene Chizik had. That, of course, being Gus Malzahn. 2019, you copy the formula, you change the names of Cam Newton to Joe Burrow and Gus Malzahn to Joe Brady, and you've got the 2019 LSU Tigers. Ed Orgeron is a better version of Gene Chizik. He's a good coach, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying he's the worst coach I've ever seen, worst coach to ever win a national title, but he's not this great coach. And I said back at the start of last year when people were calling him a top 5 coach, let's pump the brakes. Let's see what he does without Brady and Burrow. Let's see how he, does without that comfort blanket that really helped him out and masked a lot of deficiencies and a lot of weaknesses that he had shown at LSU in the past and he showed in his Ole Miss tenure. So it didn't work. I mean, you took those two away, and he was, Ed Orgeron, a good, not great coach. Will he go somewhere else? I don't know. Perhaps somebody might take a look at him and say this is a national title winning coach who did fairly well at LSU and give him an opportunity. I don't know if it'll be in the SEC again. I don't even know if it'll be in the Big Ten or maybe an ACC team will take a flyer on him. But, I think he'll be back on the sidelines eventually. As for LSU, you're already starting to hear the usual suspects mentioned. Anytime there's a big opening, James Franklin, Urban Meyer, the list goes on and on. And let me throw one name out there that people have talked about that is not going to happen, and that's Brady. I mean, yeah, Brady had a magical year in helping call the plays at LSU. Steve Ensinger was the offensive coordinator, but Brady had a significant role in calling the plays. Brady has let it be known and very well documented that he could not stand the recruiting side of football in college athletics. He couldn't stand that. He would much rather focus on the X's and O's. And he's going to be a hot commodity, make no mistake about it. There's an NFL team or 2 or 3 that is going to throw some money at this guy and throw a head coaching opportunity his way. That's a foregone conclusion. So he's not going to have to go back to college because he's going to have NFL opportunities waiting for him this offseason. And if he has his preference and he has his way, he will go in the NFL. He won't want to do the recruiting thing in college because he didn't like it. So who are some of the names you can expect? One name that keeps coming to the top of the surface is Michigan State head coach Mel Tucker. And this is a guy with deep SEC ties. This is a guy who has some history at LSU, was on the Next Haven coaching staff back in the day, so he knows Baton Rouge. He knows the landscape of LSU and knows what it takes. And he's doing good things at Michigan State. He was starting to do good things at Colorado. That is a name I would pay close attention to. Now, the only thing I think that might stop him is will he want the reputation of being a mercenary? He spent 1 year at Colorado, jumped to Michigan State. This is year 2 at Michigan State. Will he really want to leave Michigan State after just 2 seasons and, again, develop that reputation of being a job hopper, a mercenary? We'll find out here soon enough, because I think LSU will be placing that phone call to him. Obviously, you got Billy Napier, who's right down the road in Lafayette. He's a Nick Saban disciple. He's got a ton of history in the SEC as well. So I think that is a name to pay close attention to on top of things. So if you ask me my 1 and 2, it's Mel Tucker and Billy Napier. There are other names that I think you will see floated out there, but those are the 2 I think will be the most realistic that will float to the top of the surface. Anyway, guys, that'll wrap things up. Thanks for tuning in. I'll talk to you soon.